All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, excited to be here.
So today we're thinking about all of you out there prepping for those senior software engineer interviews.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And, it's a big step up from a regular software engineer interview.
For sure.
And one of the things that we thought would be really helpful to talk about today is this concept of content coupling.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it can be kind of a subtle architectural pitfall
Totally.
that can really trip people up.
Yeah, and it's something that, interviewers love to ask about.
Yeah, and it really shows that you're thinking about things at a systems level.
Absolutely.
So to kind of set the stage here, let's imagine that we are building a music streaming service.
Okay.
Like Spotify.
Oh.
What could go wrong architecturally? What are some things that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, so when we think about, a big system like a music service like Spotify,
Right.
one of the first things that comes to mind is all the different parts, or what we call microservices.
Yeah.
And so as you know how these different parts of the system are connected, or what we call coupling, that is a huge thing that interviewers look for.
Gotcha. Because if everything's too tightly coupled, then it becomes a big mess.
Exactly. If everything is too intertwined,
Yeah.
it can be really hard to make changes.
Yeah.
It can be hard to, understand how things work. And it can lead to all sorts of problems down the road.
Yeah, so one level of that is what they call common coupling.
Right. So common coupling is when you have multiple services that are all relying on the same resource.
Okay.
So think of it like, everyone in an office using the same coffee machine.
Right.
If that coffee machine breaks,
Everyone's in trouble.
everyone's in trouble.
No one gets their caffeine.
Exactly. Or if you want to upgrade the coffee machine,
Right.
it's a big ordeal because everyone's relying on it. So that's kind of like common coupling in a nutshell.
Right, and we want to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like you're leading me to something even worse than common coupling.
Yes, you're right on track there.
Okay, so tell me what's even worse.
So common coupling is bad.
Yeah.
But content coupling is like the next level.
Yeah.
It's like if instead of just using the same coffee machine,
Right.
you went into someone's office and you started using their personal stash of coffee beans.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
That is not okay.
It's like you're bypassing all the rules
Yeah.
and you're getting directly into their stuff.
So give me a concrete example of what content coupling might look like in this Spotify-like music service.
Sure. So let's say we have a payment service
Yeah.
that's responsible for processing payments. And then we have an order service that's responsible for managing orders.
Okay.
Now, in a content coupling scenario, the payment service
Yeah.
would directly access the order service's database
Oh no.
to update information about the order.
That feels wrong.
Right.
Like you shouldn't be doing that.
Exactly. It's overstepping its boundaries.
Right.
It's not supposed to know about the internals of the order service.
Yeah, why is that so bad? Like from a software design standpoint, what are the problems with that?
So one of the biggest problems is that it violates this principle of information hiding. Right. Each service is supposed to be responsible for its own data and its own logic.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like a black box.
Yeah.
You interact with it through well-defined interfaces. You don't just go poking around inside its database.
Yeah, you don't want to peek behind the curtain too much.
Exactly. So when you have content coupling, you start to get duplication of logic. So now you have the payment service doing some of the work that the order service should be doing.
Yeah.
And it can also lead to inconsistencies in the data.
Right.
Because now you have two different services that are potentially updating the same information.
Oh gosh. Okay, so that's a big problem.
Yeah, it can become a real nightmare to maintain.
So this is where it really gets interesting for our listeners who are prepping for these senior engineer interviews.
Yeah.
Because being able to spot these kinds of subtle architectural issues
Right.
is something that interviewers really look for.
Absolutely.
Because it shows that you're thinking beyond just writing code.
Totally. And it shows that you understand these design principles and you know how to apply them in a real-world scenario.
So in this music app example, with the payment service and the order service,
Yeah.
how would we fix this content coupling problem?
So instead of the payment service directly accessing the order service's database, it should send a request to the order service and say, hey, I just processed a payment.
Yeah.
Can you please update your records accordingly?
Ah, okay. So it's going through the proper channels.
Exactly. It's respecting the boundaries between the services.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Instead of going into someone's office and using their coffee beans,
Right.
you're politely knocking on their door and saying, hey, can I have some coffee?
Exactly.
So what stands out to you as like the most important takeaway here for our listeners?
I think the most important takeaway is that it's not just about knowing the definition of content coupling.
Right.
It's about understanding why it's a problem and being able to articulate those reasons to an interviewer.
Yeah, and being able to, suggest solutions.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what really shows that you're thinking at a senior level.
Totally.
So imagine you're in that interview
Yeah.
and you can confidently explain what content coupling is, why it's bad,
Right.
and how to fix it.
You're going to impress them?
You're going to stand out from the crowd.
For sure.
So as you're prepping for those interviews,
Yeah.
think about systems that you've worked on and ask yourself,
Where could content coupling be lurking?
where might it be hiding?
Right.
And how can you apply these principles to design better systems?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
All right. Good luck out there.
Best of luck. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next time.
Bye.